Hey, good afternoon. My name is Sonny Star, and this is video number 4 of moving to Mexico. Hello to all my friends, family, followers. If I have any followers, I don't even know. If you like my videos, subscribe, like them, comment. If you don't, okay, that's good too. I'm just doing this as a way to not only help other people, but hopefully inform other people of what happens when you move to another country. And for us, it just happens to be Zihuatanejo, Mexico. So we actually moved here just a little over, we're going on 2 months now. And we moved into a penthouse, which is on the 5th and 6th floor of a building. We have no house payment, which is one of the main reasons why we decided to relocate, was because we wanted to be debt-free. We didn't want to have a house payment until we were 80 years old. So here we are. We have no house payment. We live in this beautiful place with water. We're on the Pacific coast. We get fresh seafood every day. The cost of living is fantastic. Food costs are very inexpensive here. But one of the things that I think that most people do not realize is that when you live in Mexico, the government is not the government that it is in the U.S. And you have to recognize that the police over here, some of them are fantastic. Some of them are corrupt, and the reason why they are corrupt is because they don't get paid anything. They don't make enough money for them to actually sustain a family. And the cartels are making billions and billions and billions of dollars and can afford to pay the police. And, the weapons that the cartel have very much outweigh what the police have. And so over here, the cartel run a lot of these towns, and every year in the election year, which happens to be this year, it happens every 4 years, just like it does in the U.S., candidates apply and are nominated and are voted for. But what happens is a lot of those candidates never make it to the election because they're killed. They are not aligned with the cartels, and so they kill them. Thus far, from what we've read in the past week, there are 58 candidates in Mexico that have been killed thus far, and there are over 250 that have dropped out of the races because of threats to their family. And, we feel very, very safe here because we're Americans and we're not involved in, obviously, any criminal activity, and we don't vote for their political party. But there are still things that happen in Mexico that I think Americans would be very surprised about. An example was yesterday. We went out for a walk, as we do every day. We walk 4 to 5 miles a day because we're so close to the ocean. And when we were out walking, we heard several, gunfire. Just pop-pops. We knew they weren't fireworks, and there was a lot of them, maybe 10 to 20. And we were like, oh, wow, somebody's fighting, right? I mean, not any different than any other city in the U.S. I mean, there's violence in Portland, and we moved from Vancouver, Washington, and I mean, we heard the same thing when we were there. It's a lot less here, but when we got home and went up into our house, now remember, we're on the 5th and 6th floor, we had a bullet hole all the way through our hurricane glass on our 5th floor. And when we figured out that there was a bullet hole, obviously we looked for the bullet, which we still haven't located. And thank God it was hurricane glass because it doesn't shatter. The bullet went cleanly through. But that's our living room area, and it was just a freak thing. I mean, who knew? Who knew we would have, a bullet on the 5th floor? But once we watched the news, what happened is the cartel and the police were in a chase, and they happened to be coming up a hill in the chase that is in our neighborhood, and a stray bullet from one of the vehicles, I don't know if there was cartel's vehicle, police vehicle, somebody's vehicle, happened to hit our glass, and we're way up in the sky. So either they were really bad shots or they were ducking and, the gun was pointed up in the air. We don't know. But, I mean, we don't feel unsafe, but we understand that every 4 years there is going to be a fight for power. And I don't think it's any different than what happens in the US. I mean, there's a fight for power every day in the large cities, between the gang violence. Cartels here obviously are highly armed, however. But I mean, we don't feel unsafe. It's just something that happened. And, one bullet through a glass doesn't make us afraid for our lives. I mean, because it just doesn't happen here. I mean, every 4 years, I guess you're just going to have to deal with it, just like what you deal with in the U.S. on a daily basis. We actually feel much safer here than we did when we lived in Portland, because there seemed to be a shooting every night, which we're not night people. We're not out hanging out in the bars. We're not, I mean, we're old. I mean, it is what it is. We're not out partying and dancing and doing all of those things. We like to stay at home, and we like to cook, and we like our dogs, and we like cocktail hour at our house. We're not out doing anything we shouldn't be doing, at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. But Americans need to understand that when you move to a foreign country, there are going to be things that you don't understand and things that happen, and you need to be aware. You need to pay attention. You need to ensure that when you go somewhere, that you look at the people around you. You know your neighborhood, you know your surroundings. And we are very, very cognizant of where we live. And we're very aware of where to go and where not to go. And you need to pay attention to that. There are bad areas in every city you live in, whether you're in the US or whether you're in Mexico. So for us, we're fine. Nobody was hurt. Our dogs were a little freaked out by the loud noise of the bullet hitting the glass, but everybody's fine. So I hope that this is helpful to somebody. Set your expectations accordingly. We live in paradise. It's beautiful here. We go to the beach every day. We have no house payment. We eat well. It is fantastic. We have a couple of friends here that we made so far, which isn't really important to us. We don't want to hang out with a bunch of what most people refer to as expats. We don't consider ourselves to be expats. We're immigrants. We've immigrated to Mexico just like any immigrant, comes to the U.S. So we're immigrants, and we're trying to become a part of this culture and a part of this group of people that we call friends. And probably most of them will not be Americans for us, because we want to immerse ourselves in the culture. But just be aware and understand that living in Mexico is not going to be like living in the U.S. And there will be things that you experience that may or may not be acceptable to you. For us, it's acceptable. I mean, it's fine. We'll get the glass fixed. Nobody's hurt. We have hurricane glass. It's fine. All right. Talk to you soon. Thanks for tuning in.